All right, y'all. First and foremost, give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and his son, the Hamashiach, who some call Yahweh Shai, Yeshua, Yehoshua, Yahshua. We mostly know as Jesus Christ. Pastor Mike gonna make some allegations here. Pastor Mike gonna make some allegations that our brother Deacon was out here running. Now, you know, we just all fun. Deacon has his reasons, probably. You know, Deacon has debated Elder Mike before. And he may have a lot on his plate. May have a lot on his plate right now. I'm sure he does. You know, he got Ron Dalton and a couple other debates kind of back to back that he got to prepare for, and it takes a lot, man. It takes a lot out of you on some of these discussions. And I know even that Ron Dalton, you're gonna have to do some studying, you know, outside of the text, because he's not really dealing with the text. He not. I know y'all think he is, but to me, he's not dealing with the text. I think he's dealing with DNA and the opposite of the text. Oh, well, the text said it's supposed to be the land of milk and honey. And why isn't it flourishing now? And that, you know, but he's still going to have to learn Ron Dalton's his offense so he can have a defense for it. Anyway, we're going to just run this clip real quick. And then we'll talk about this other thing he said at the end of this.
Clubhouse. Yeah. So anyway, he and I talked. By the way, Deacon came on. I challenged him. He said he'll only debate me if I don't use the writings of Paul.
That's what I wanted to talk about. I forgot what I wanted to talk about. Not just that Deacon ran, but he made that statement. I'll debate you only if you don't use the epistles of Paul.
Oh, now why?
Hold on, let me play it back. Y'all gonna be thinking I'm bearing.
See what he and I talked. By the way, Deacon came on. I challenged him. He said he'll only debate me if I don't use the writings of Paul.
Oh, now why would Deacon, and y'all know who Deacon is. Shout out to Deacon, but y'all know who Deacon is. Deacon just
shout out to Deacon, man.
Shout out to
Genesis.
I agree with them. They got to get Christians that don't understand the Bible. He'll only debate if he don't accept the right.
And this is shout out to Berean TV. This is Berean TV, y'all. He let Israelites get on that panel. I was gonna try to make a little sneak attack, you know, but they end up finding my channel. But I'm still gonna jump on there. I just gotta educate myself more on those church fathers. I'm gonna educate myself a little more on them church fathers. I need to have it down. Origin, Tacticus, I need to have it down. Eusebius, I need to know it up and down, man. You know. And once I do it, once I'm very familiar with it, once I start getting into them writings, I'm jumping on that panel. And I'm going to show that that's where you get your authority from those church fathers. Just like a lot of Israelites we get our authority, we get up from the One West fathers, like the Bibbins and the Arias. Y'all have gleaned a lot from the Catholic Church. But I gotta learn the church fathers. See, I understand that. You gotta understand that. So I gotta go in there, and it may take some time to do that. It ain't just something that's gonna be, you know, some overnight, and then I'm gonna go and jump on the panel. Y'all tripping, man. People go to school for that stuff, man, and it takes semesters of just studying that one subject, man. But anyway, let's get
things of the Apostle Paul. They trying to shoot Paul down. He wasn't one of the original 12. I'm telling you, it's a spirit out here at work. Paul, they gotta blow at Paul. He wasn't original. They gotta do that stuff. There's too much Bible that contradict their teachings, and a lot of that come from the Apostle of Paul.
Yeah. So he ran. All right. I didn't. Hopefully, I explained that clearly to where she can understand. Right. Shout out to Garfield in the chat. Garfield's a witness. Deke didn't want to debate me unless we took out the writings of Paul. I should have said, okay, if you take out the Old Testament, but I wouldn't do that. All right, Sister Gia, bless you. You there, Brother Maria?
We often hear people say, Paul. They sick of Paul, Pastor Mike. But they don't know it's God. It's all God. The whole 66 is all God.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Now, Garfield did comment and say Deke texted him and said he was only kidding.
We got to eat that too now. Deacon did text Garfield. Allegedly, Deacon did text Garfield and say he was kidding. Garfield put this in the chat. And there is an issue. People are growing weary and more and more weary with Paul. I'm going to tell you when it started. And a lot of people going to agree with me. It started with the hats. It started with brothers teaching with their head covered. When we first coming in, that was a no-no. You was not going to be. That was one of the things, too. We would tell the people, when the people walked up and they have a hat on, that'll be one of the first things we'll see. It's like, man, do you really love the Lord? Like, that'll be one of the tests. Do you really love him? You know, and then we'll read the Corinthians 1 Corinthians 11, and say, brother, can you take your hat off while the Bible coming out? Can you remove your hat? Brother be mad. Brother be, man, man, I look rough under here, man. I look, man, yeah, But they eventually take their hat off. All right, and that was just one of the signs. You know what I'm saying? Then we big them up. All praises, man. Yeah. And then we cut them. Build them up and then we cut them down. Oh man, boy, what we doing the work out there? My goodness. But there is, I think it started with that head covering. I think it started with the head covering, and eventually we start seeing more and more people wearing their hats and having their head covered. Some people just wearing hats for no reason, and having their head covered. And now it's at a point now where, Paul is just, he's not really law. It's just what he was saying. And if you really, really know, like once you really dive into the development of the text, man, you'll know Paul that man, Paul that guy. If you really understand what Paul is doing, Paul is that guy. He coming to them, telling them, man, I've been teaching 14 years, sir. I've been teaching this gospel 14 years that I received direct revelation from Christ. Let me tell you what this revelation is. Let me give you this mystery that he revealed unto me.
I personally don't think he was really kidding, but I take him at his word. My question is, and he should have had no problem with saying, I was only kidding. Let's set up the debate.
Don't let him double down on you like that, Deacon. Man, listen. You got to spin the block, man. You ain't got to do it now. I would get him around Christmas time. I get him on that Christmas tree. He gonna defend that tree. This a lob, Deacon. This a lob. Get him on that Christmas tree. He's going to try his best to defend it. Debate him on that. It's Christmas pagan. He gonna take it. Tell him that's what you want to debate. It's pagan Christmas. Is Christmas pagan. He gonna take it. You ain't gotta do it now. Just spin the block on him. Spin the block on him in a couple of months. Sometime in December, and debate. debate that is Christmas pagan. Pay-per-view. You know.
Read Elder Harris.
This is pure nonsense to attempt to exclude the Bible that you use and supposedly study it to make no sense.
Get down. I already said that man
Wasting
was
my
Jesus
time.
Christ.
Where does it
Who
say?
he-
Now this was a debate Deacon did with a pastor, and this is why he could be a little worn out with the pastors. You know, he just got done with a debate. I haven't watched it in its totality, but it seems that Deacon, you know, he felt he did well, and obviously he put it on his channel, so I'm sure he feels he did well. I haven't heard anything about, you know, oh, he got some more. I ain't seen no clips or nothing like that, so. I would assume that, you know, he did his thing here.
Does
I
it say
said that
Jews
that
in that
man
text?
was Jesus Christ, who he
Does
came
it
to
say
spill his
Jews in
blood
that
for
text?
the Israelites.
Does it say Jews in that text?
No, it doesn't.
All right, there you go. Next
Okay,
question.
it don't
Next
have
question.
to say Jews in every
Next
text.
question.
We
When-
were called Gentiles
Next
too.
question.
That's enough,
Next
Deacon.
question. I know you don't like it. When Paul was before Agrippa, and Agrippa said, "Almost thou persuaded me to be a Christian." Did Paul tell the truth to Agrippa?
Yes, he did.
Now, Deacon knows this was a setup. This was a setup question. If you know One West doctrine, if you know the camp doctrine, you'll know that one of the major defenses for about 75% of the camps, when this comes up, is that Paul is being deceptive. Paul is just saying something to spare his life, because they can't. If you're saying that Israel, that Paul is only talking to Israelites and salvation is only for Israelites, you can't have anywhere in the text where a disciple of Paul is going out talking to Gentiles or trying to offer or preaching the gospel to Gentiles. You can't have that. You can't have Cornelius being a Gentile. You can't have Ruth being a Gentile. You can't have the Ethiopian eunuch being a Gentile. You can't have the Retrobites being a Gentile. You can't have Anchior, the Ammonite in the book of Judith. You can't have him be an Ammonite. All right. You can't have is it Melchiah? It's an Ethiopian eunuch in Jeremiah also. I want to say Jeremiah. No, it's in Jeremiah also. That saved Jeremiah. It's an Ethiopian eunuch that saved Jeremiah. He was a eunuch that was a servant to Hezekiah. I forget his name though. But anyway, Cornelius, you had to make him a Titus. You know, even though it says he was a Greek, you got to make him a Israelite. Timothy, even though his father was a Greek, I might have mixed him up, but y'all get what I'm saying. Even though it says his father was a Greek, you got to make him an Israelite. You know, have to make all of them Israelites. You can't do it. You can't. So you can't say that Paul is in here preaching to some Edomites. You can't say that. All right, and most of us are not going to say that. You know, I believe salvation for everyone, and that Paul was speaking to natural Gentiles. But that's something I had to come to. I was taught like everybody else was taught. That was the teaching. He was just trying to preserve himself. But then, you know, when I started going through this thing, I started seeing a problem. Before I get into the problem, though, and why I definitely had to cut that channel off also, because let me just let this play a little more. Let me pull it back.
A Christian. Did Paul tell the truth to Agrippa?
Yes, he did.
Was Agrippa an Edomite?
Yes, he was.
So he gave the gospel to Agrippa, and Agrippa said, "Almost you persuaded me to be a Christian."
Paul preached the gospel to an Edomite, and you know, Deacon was smart to just eat this. I don't know if he believes it, but he knows that it's hard to defend that. But I'm sure he had to done coincided with that. Like he done conceded with that.
And what Paul told him was true.
I mean, he could tell him anything. Paul also wished that the Israelites could be.
No. We ain't going to.
Also wished
you
that,
already admitted it.
Prove,
you just admitted.
Okay, I can't ask the question
about being a Christian.
I can't ask a question, but Paul, let me break it down.
Listen. Did he say?
Question. So
did
let
he
me
say?
answer.
Almost thou persuaded me to be an Israelite.
Yes. No. He said he didn't. He said Christian.
What did he say?
He said Christian.
So what Paul said to him was about becoming a Christian and not a black Hebrew Israelite.
Paul never told him to become a Christian.
Well, why did he? Okay, what does it mean? Almost you persuaded me.
I need somebody to show me in the
No,
text.
I want you to answer this question. He said
Paul didn't.
And see that pastor misspoke, and you know, it's y'all got to understand the debates is a debate. You know, I don't know if this is the arena. This is the place for you to really learn. I think, you know, in a debate, it's almost like a little boxing match. It's a fight, and sometimes it get a little dirty. So yeah, people may say things in a debate that they don't mean.
Say that.
Paul didn't say that.
Paul didn't say that though.
Yeah, Paul tell the truth.
Or they may say things, or they might agree to things that they not gonna really stand on. You know, I know it was one part in the debate with Chief Priest Alazar of Sakari, Guerrilla Hebrew. He was debating Michael Brown and Dr. Michael Brown. And Dr. Michael Brown brought up a point where that he had just debated Garfield on the 12 tribes, and he was bringing out some of those things he was going against him that he was using in the 12 tribes. He was trying to pull up some of that information and make Guerrilla Hebrew stand on it. And Guerrilla Hebrew was like, man, I don't care what I said over there. I ain't got to stand on none of that. Like, I said it then, don't mean I mean it now. Yeah, you know. It is you ain't got no right to be taking information I said back then. I said a few months ago and try to put it in the debate and try to make me stand on it. That ain't what we here for, you know. So he stood on that, and that's what I'm saying, y'all. You kind of gotta know what you're looking at. All right.
Agrippa said that.
That's what I said.
Okay, but Paul didn't say no. You said
no.
Paul
I said
what?
Right, you gotta answer the question. You gotta answer the question.
Answer that.
No,
you have to move on.
What are you asking?
Okay, I'm moving on. I'm moving on now.
You should have.
And I'm gonna tell you why that was why that's an issue. And it's why you have to just go ahead and let it go, because Paul later on Paul pretty much tells them that in Acts 21, you know, some of the followers were didn't want Paul to go down to Jerusalem, and they didn't want Paul to go down to Jerusalem. They wanted him to stay because they felt he was gonna get killed, and he was like, "Man, I'm not." Or they felt he was gonna go to jail. He was like, "Man, I'm not only just ready to go to jail, but I'm ready to die for this mission. I'm willing to die." So you can't take the narrative. When he has the conversation with Agrippa, and Agrippa is saying, you almost, you know, persuaded me. Paul's out there giving them the gospel, you know, saying, I wish everyone was like me, everyone in the room. You got Festus in there, you got Agrippa in there, you got all these other Roman soldiers and so forth. And Agrippa is saying, man, you almost persuaded me. And Agrippa is an Edomite, but you have to understand also how these Edomites got into that position. You got to understand, even with the Apocrypha, that you're still missing 150 years worth of history. You got to know about the Hasmonean dynasty. You must understand that the Israelites conquered Edom and forced them to be circumcised and forced them to be converted. This is how you have the Herodians and the Herod, and Herod end up getting in position. And then after the Hasmonean dynasty, it became it sprung into the Herodian dynasty. You know, and then, you know, end up getting us up out of there. But anyway, You need to understand that history, just giving you some gems and nuggets for you to go and research on your own. But I do have classes on the I got classes on the Hasmonean Dynasty. We got classes on the just hit the live. You may have to hit the live, but I may have it in the regular videos. But you just type it in, you'll find somebody. It ain't gotta be me. You can find anybody on it and watch a few videos and compare the history. Wiki will probably have plenty of information on it also. Anyway, but that'll be the problem with trying to say that Paul was trying to conserve his life. When that verse comes out, you can't say that when he was just told you that he was willing to die. So Deacon did right by saying, yeah, he's telling the truth. But the reason why I clipped it, because I haven't seen many under this umbrella that would say that. Pray this thing was edifying. Y'all be blessed. We'll see y'all on the next one.